employee discipline. I want to approach this topic just a little bit differently. Employment law is normally a reactive type of tool that we use to sit down there and either quote in the process that we're doing it, or actually after somebody's filed something and then respond by spouting off a law. I want to approach this topic of employee discipline using the law, except going through the aspect of how can we sit down, define the expectations early, in this case through employee orientation. Then I want to argue about the point of what exactly is employee discipline versus employee punishment, and then I'm going to give you the steps involved with what you do to do what we call due process. Due process really is about making certain you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's in the process of making certain you give the employee opportunity to sit down and respond. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to talk about defining expectations because of the fact that, frankly, in my personal experience in the world, I've had lots of jobs over the years, and I've only had only one job where I had a decent orientation out of about 9 different serious full-time jobs. A lot of times it was left up to me, and quite frankly, I did well, but I'm a self-starter. Some people are not a self-starter, and you have to sit down and help them. They'll do fabulous once you help them, but let's get them going towards the right thing by planning a good orientation program. Define the expectations right away. If they can't cut it, then they'll understand why. But make certain that you, as the employer, are making certain that you're doing a good job and getting them ready to experience the entire pathway on the job. That's a big deal. If you do that, you really do save an awful lot of time. If you look on the data, once you hire somebody and they're in the job, if they leave the job, then you have an issue when it comes down to the aspect of, okay, if they leave the job, it's going to take you about 6 months salary to replace them with all the training. Let's try to deal with that on an early basis. Let's look on the comprehensive orientation. Make certain they understand the roles. You, come here, this is your job. Let's go over each item and go through the job description. I mean, go through the job description. And by the way, this is not the job of human resources. It is not. Human resources needs to deal with the aspects of all the different rules, the corporate rules and the law. No discrimination. If you do, we will waterboard you. Wait a minute, we stopped waterboarding. I get confused. Anyhow, but you can't do the following. Yes, there's corporate aspects of it, the whole organizational structure as to what you're expected to do, but the day-to-day duties is not underneath the purview of human resources. It is underneath the purview of the immediate supervisor. Dust off your chair and go out and do your job, supervisor. You want to be the boss? Here you go. The rubber hits the road here on employee orientation. In my definition of what that means, okay, and quite frankly, I have a lot of experience in this entire world. Here's what it means. It means the supervisor spends at least half of their first day with the employee. No, not with somebody assisting, not with a mentor. No. The supervisor defines the expectation. You know what? This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. And then you might have a mentor to sit down there and watch them. Somebody needs to show them where the restrooms are. Somebody needs to go show them how to sit down there and get a glass of water. Somebody needs to show them around and introduce them to people. That can be somebody else, but the supervisor needs to spend at least half of their first day with them. Now, of course, you're going to be filling up paperwork and the whole bit, but the reality of it comes down to the supervisor should be planning the whole aspect. There should be a full-blown tour of their organization. They should introduce them to different departments in the process as well, and all that should be part of an entire planned first month of orientation if you want to keep them. If you want to just do a sloppy job and they quit and everything else, that's up to you. But here, I'm going to give you the aspect of what it takes to sit down and try to avoid issues of employee discipline. That being said, review the aspect of retention satisfaction, try to reduce your turnover rates, make certain that you're connecting with that employee right away, make certain they understand you value them, but also that they understand your values. They need to understand their boss's value. And by the way, If you look on the data, people don't have a problem with the boss checking up on them. As a matter of fact, the data shows the opposite. A lot of them prefer to have the boss checking up on them and helping them answer questions. Make certain that you're training them to align their expectations and the values they have in the workplace with the corporate goals. Look at the aspect of of aligning with the mission. Try to have cultural integration. Now, by that, I mean have them talk to other people. What do we do? What's our expectation over here? What about this? What about this? Have them go through the actual ritual of the work that they're going to be doing and what's expected in it. If they answer the phone, they say, yo, hello, I'm here. Or do they say, hi, I'm so glad you called. We're so-and-so. I'm delighted to help you. What are your needs today? You can have a lot of different things, the corporate culture moving into the new employee so they know what to expect and in the process, and people know what to expect from them. Plan the orientation program. Define the goals and objectives. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you said, and then at the end of it, then tell them what you told them. That's how it works. Clear objectives. Tailor the orientation program. Make certain that what you're talking about is that you're spot on with the goal and you're meeting the organizational needs. Make certain you identify the key stakeholders and resources that they can access all the information. Do you know how we get nowadays to have a much different span of control? Once upon a time, back in the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, we had a span of control with one supervisor for 5 employees. Sometimes 6. Some of the crazy ones, maybe like me, we might have had more than 10. That was really the rarity. Now it is common to have a large number of employees because the supervisor doesn't have to be the one that holds all the information and shares it as they need to. No, the information is all over the place. A lot of it is on the web. A lot of it is easy to sit down and have digitally accessed by the new employee. You have to show them how to get it. Then once they get it, then you got to make certain they know what they got and then review it with them. That first week, a lot of time should be spent with the supervisor, at least half of the first day, and at least a couple other times during the week. The next week, there should be more time spent with the supervisor and the employee, and so on, and making certain that for the first 6 months, there's regular connection so that employee knows what the expectations are and what you're looking at. The timeline's a big deal. Have activity scheduling. Show them what's going to take place. Don't let them sit down and worry about what's going to happen. They should come in the next day knowing what the expectations are, who they're going to work with, and what they're going to be working on. Make certain they understand the responsibility and look at the actual structure. Introduce the company and its history. If you can, get the chief executive officer and some of your C-suite executives to come and visit, especially if you have a group of people. I've had typically a dozen people in an orientation. I would have the different chief this, chief that come in and just introduce them and maybe show them a little bit just for a few minutes what they do. And that way they can associate a name with the position. Have them go over the mission statement. Have them go over the core values. Have all this in a sit-down meeting and have them on a PowerPoint presentation. Have them have it hand out, whatever you need to do. And always on orientation, just so you know, food is almost always essential. People like food. Your chief budget officer will flip out if you go nuts, except for the fact that the orientation is a major issue and you want to make sure it's a major issue and lead with your best foot forward. HR coordinates, but supervisors lead. Create an ongoing schedule. This is not a once and done. We did that last week Monday. Well, you know what? If they're human beings, they forgot over 50% of what was said last week Monday because they're overwhelmed by everything else. Tell them what you told them. Make sure you have that. No such thing as once and done. 2 days in the first week, once a week in the first month, and once a month for the next 5 months. That would be a good schedule to start. Launch well. Launch well is what you want. You want to make certain that they're comfortable, that they come in and say, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this. You know what? Here's another weird thing that I want you to think about. Tell them when you see something weird and you think, how come we're doing it this way? You know, right now you want them to do it the same way that you're doing, but have them get a piece of paper and things I have questions about and have them write the question while it happens. They don't have to have the question answered as soon as they write it down, but if they have it, and that way 6 months later they can wonder, how come this desk is over here and I have to walk these all the way down the hallway to this to get this? They need to ask those questions and encourage them to write it down. Take advantage of the new blood coming in and the new eyes coming in. Because what happens is you may come in the door and there's something ugly on the right hand side. You have this ugly plant sitting over there and you have to step around it all the time. And you know what? At first it irritates you, but then after the second week, you don't even see that it's there. They're going to see that it's there and they'll say, that's an ugly plant. Why do we have to look at that thing every single day? And I have to walk around it. Let them ask the question, because sometimes we get so used to the norm, and these fresh eyes don't waste the opportunity in the process. Look at the compliance, safety, promote a positive environment, have them talk, tailor the training program to the needs for that position and that person on top of it. Make certain that you enhance the job effectiveness and improve the employee satisfaction before they really even start on the job. That being said, create a unique program, create clear tools for success, include coworkers in the process. This is a big deal, the orientation. If you do the orientation well, there's a high probability this employee will be successful. But if you don't pre-plan it, don't push it, don't make it something special, then it'll be just like another day to them. You don't want that. You want them to launch well. Take care.